In this educational video, we're going to explore the need for active threat, also known as active shooter training. We'll be interviewing active threat expert Jake Edwards, developer of L.E.A.D Tactics training course on the basics of an active threat scenario. For the full video, please contact one of our virtual consultants. If you're in the process of developing a request for proposal, also known as an RFP, for training purposes, you don't need to develop a long, complicated document to issue to bidders. You do need to provide a description of your organization. Is it a school, a synagogue, a church, an office space? How many people are within your organization? What's the demographic, the ages, physical capabilities of your members? And how many people need to be trained? Do you have building schematics to share with your trainer? If so, that's a huge benefit. And also evaluate if you have a budget in mind for your training course. Listing the basics and keeping it simple ultimately makes it easier on your executive team or your committee in awarding the best vendor for the job. If you have questions on the topic of active threat or active shooter, please contact us for more information. If you're interested in becoming a virtual member, you can sign up through the website or contact one of our consultants to register. In the meantime, thanks for watching and enjoy this short educational video. Hi everyone, and thank you for joining this first session with Elisa from EMD and Jake Edwards from L.E.A.D Tactics. We're going to talk a little bit about active threat today, and we're going to let Jake tell us a little bit about his background and how he developed his training program. So Jake, please, for everyone watching, introduce yourself and give us a little bit of a definition around active threat and how you work with your customers.
Well, first off, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm glad to be here. My initial background, I started as a young Marine in the post 9/11 war. I was in Iraq, Operation Phantom Fury, which was the biggest battle in the entire war. And that was in 2004. I was with 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines for that. And then in 2005, I was with 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines. I got out of the Marine Corps as a sergeant, and later down the road, got into the training world for combat skills training as a civilian contractor for government organizations. And it really got me connected in the active threat world, where I became our lead active shooter insider threat instructor for our Air Advisor program, where we train students to go all around the world to 140 different countries for different missions. And a lot of them would go armed, and some would even go unarmed. This is all before just when Run, Hide, Fight was coming out in 2013. Our training command had lost 9 students to an insider attack in 2011 in Afghanistan. And we had to revamp our program for our marksmanship and our gunfighting skills, but also our active threat program. So I was able to lead that new effort, and we were able to develop a lot of extra training and utilizing practical application, which I highly recommend. That is the highest degree of the training you can get, is getting someone on site to train you physically. But not everyone can afford that. So we're also offering virtual trainings.
Talk to us a little bit about active threat, because you're talking about armed and unarmed. There's a lot of things that can fall under the active threat umbrella. There could be other issues that fall under the active threat that might not necessarily be a shooter situation, correct?
Sure. Absolutely. So more people die from violence through non-firearms than firearms in the US every year. Meaning I could use an edged weapon, so a knife, something sharp. I could use a impact weapon, something I'd smash you with. And the important thing about active threat is it's someone in the active moment trying to harm someone else at the individual level, but it also could be a group level too. So there's a lot of skills needed for that as what we would call someone a defender. You're defending against someone as an active threat. So Elisa mentioned some tips I can give you all right now. So here's my company, L.E.A.D Tactics. Here is our acronym and action word. I think leadership, in my perspective professionally, I think leadership is the most important thing we need out there to respond to these active threat situations. And not leadership as in, I need to be a leader and tell Lisa what to do. We need to have leadership at the individual level where we have decentralized leadership. One thing I've learned working in schools is you cannot guarantee that we're all going to be in a certain place at a certain time when these threats start. Because just like a car accident, we don't plan when they happen. When someone else hits us, we prepare to be ready for that, react and be reactive to it when it does occur. Lock with layers of protection. Escape, create space from the threat. If I can get away and create space, that is a way better mechanism than being closer to that threat. I would much rather get far away. Alert, hey, let other people know what's going on, especially nowadays through applications and radio communications, if we have that ability, and cell phones. The thing with that, though, is don't do that until you've given yourself a nice law and a safer place to be able to utilize that device. Less fear, more courage, because courage is what we need in the face of death and great bodily harm, and the fear of that. When it comes to your specific location, your specific vibe that you're giving off in your community and where you work and where you operate out of, is someone's behavior suspicious for your environment? And if it was your own home, how would you perceive that behavior? So I like to tell people to think about it. If it's your own home, would it be suspicious as well? Or is it kind of normal for the environment and the location that you live and operate in? And that's what you should base it off of. Not just because there's some stranger there. You should be basing it off of their activity and how they are operating and moving and acting as an individual. That's tip number one. So I didn't cover the defend part. So the last part for LEAD, the defend part, is we all have a right to self-defense in this country. And it's a good thing we have that at the individual level. So defending yourself is what's needed when you can't get away from the threat, or the threat is imminent and it started right there where you are. So defending yourself with options and weapons of opportunity if needed. So tip number two is just let's start with where we are right now and build a plan so we can grow a better future together for safety and security.
Interesting. And we might even have a mixture of different types of folks. Some may have had training, some might not have had training. So
right.
If they're not on the same page.
Right. Get on the same page first before we do anything.
Right.
And that takes just meeting in a tabletop scenario and saying, hey guys, let's meet about what do we want? What are we here to protect? And what are we here to manage?
Right.
And a lot of it comes through our character. So my third tip will be composure and holding frame. Meaning when you're representing an organization or a team at the highest level of the supervisor or director, whoever you are, we want to make sure that we are very composed and that we're not sending off a lot of bad vibes and energy to our team and our clients and those that we represent. Because composure, it goes downhill. If the top has it, the others will feed off that, and it'll really help the command presence of that team and organization thrive in any given situation, whether it's low stress or a high stress, threatening type of moment.
So those were really great tips. Just to recap, stay alert and be aware of that suspicious activity, start where you are and hold your frame, keep your composure, right? Now we're going to do another session, another training session, and share it with the community probably in the next few weeks. But tell us a little bit about what we'll cover in the next training session.
Yeah, so what I'd love to do is actually go in detail with the whole LEAD acronym. So lock, escape, alert, defend, and then give the actual detail of what each one of those looks like. And then I'll share a case study that covers each one of those four in different perspectives of how it worked, whether it was for a barricading purpose, whether it was escaping or alerting out to others that were other bystanders that would be defenders as well. And then also those that went hands-on and defended themselves in an active threat type situation. And the important thing is using case studies is we can relate to those and we learn, like I said, using car accidents as a good analogy for stress. But even car accidents for analogy of every one that we've ever been in was a little different. Just like active threat situations, all of them are a little bit different. And we can't train, and this is what I've learned in schools, a lot of schools train very single dimensional because they want to be predictable and how they want to limit the amount of time that it takes from education to do these drills. But real world doesn't work that way. And real world doesn't work in a box. Real world works in our entire operation. So I'm going to cover all the details of your operation when you're in a room, when you're in a common area, when you're outside, when you are around others, and you can support and give a verbal or a radio or a phone call or an application alert. And also when you need to defend yourself, because we do have that right in this country. And it's a great thing that we have. Not all nations have it, but we have it. And we have a right of life and liberty and defending ourselves. And if we can articulate why we did something, that's what matters in these kind of moments.
Agreed. So for anyone who wants to follow up on part 2 to this training session, please sign up for the membership. We're going to continue to share a lot of content like this, and you will see Jake back. For anyone who's interested in having Jake come down to their facility and doing an in-depth active threat training with your organization, please reach out to us and we'll make sure you guys connect. And that's it. Everyone stay safe, and we hope to see you at the next training session.